we're talking about inviting folks, network individual members and C3 members to talk about the next legislative session, and talking about how gerrymandering is so complicated, so hard for people to get their heads around it. And we do have to reintroduce the Citizens Redistricting Commission legislation, since this is going to be a new session. Of course, each General Assembly session lasts 2 years, and so this is the beginning of another 2-year session. But to step back and focus on Democracy 101, and Brett, you mentioned before about some potential funding opportunities to have a full package that Becky can put her name on, that's well done, professional, and that we could take all 46 counties, one for each county, with each county's legislative delegation, by the breakdown of whether they had competition or not, how much money they raised, and show people that, look, this is what it is. We don't have competition. But before we even get into the competition, talking about these are the problems. Stepping back and saying, what problems do you have? What's yanking your chain, as we said before, but whether it be education, the environment, roads, infrastructure, healthcare, so forth. So laying out the problems and then saying, okay, what's the root cause of the problem? We don't have any power. And so getting that laid out in the Democracy 101 presentation is something we need to do, that we can go out and get funding for, and send Daniel and Wayne and Omari and whoever else can go on the road and take it, and step back and build capacity at the county level before we even get back to the fair maps petitions. We've got to win Richland County first, as you said before, get that 15% and 40,000 voters. And once we win Richland County, we can show other counties how it's done. So yeah, kind of a step back to look at funding opportunities with Democracy 101. Fill in the holes. That's a lot of holes, Brett.
Yeah, the thing that I want to come away from this meeting tonight is some sense of a peace, I guess, that we're not positioned to do what we tried to do this past January, which was drive home on the, go when we did a really nice show at the State House with all those signs about competition, and nobody heard it. I don't think that we should try and do something at the beginning of the session. There's too much noise. I think that we need to create an instance to do something, and that would be in refiling the bill, because we have to, again, you have to refile it every 2 years, amending the bill a little bit. And Vince and I had a nice chat, and Vince is one of the, y'all, if you don't remember, I'm reminding you that Vince helped write the bill, and quite competent in presenting the bill. And I think it's the only actual legal work he's getting, and he enjoys doing that type of policy work. And so we're going to amend the bill to make sure that it doesn't die every 2 years, or to put a date in it, work on the date question of the bill, and to make the competition element of the legislation and the amendment more explicit. Minor tweaks, and continue pushing, and the petitions already signed will still be valid because they're all named the same thing. And that that will need to be reintroduced, and we can maybe do another press conference and raise that up. And that would be when we announce to the legislature, and do this early in the game, January, February, that the list of people that will let the voters choose the politicians, that the legislators will be asked. We can present a questionnaire to all the legislators. We can get one of the legislators in the Senate, Fanning or Gilda in the House, to actually put something on everyone's desk where they do a little checkbox. Yes, I will support Citizens Redistricting Commission, so the voters get to choose the politicians. And we'll start that with a box online, that just like the voting boxes you see when you watch the legislature, a little red dot for the politicians that want to draw their own lines, a little green dot for the politicians that don't. We've got 2 years to drive that nail before the 2022 election. And so it's kind of like not trying to come out too large and not being able to make a shot at the beginning of legislature, but do something that gets it, just do the back door, the behind the scenes work that needs to be done to get the thing across the finish line. And that would be doing that putting the legislatures on record as to where they stand, getting the legislation introduced, and then doing with our partners, our C3 partners, and the NAACP and everybody else, the Democracy 101. I'm using that as a working title. We may want to change it some, but a very professional presentation that we can have one for each county that explains the shortcomings, the way things practiced. That this isn't, we're not like losing elections. The elections are rigged. You can't win them. Even if you won them, you can't change anything. And getting that through people's minds is so complicated. I mean, we continue, those of us that are doing this work, continue to be surprised by people that we're working with that still don't get it. They still think we can vote our way out of this. And that's a real problem. And that we have to do that educational work ongoing while we're going to deliver Richland County. We've Allison Tricio, a sitting council member, a network member. She's done a really good video for us. Becky's got that one, and who else we have? Do we have that? We have Levinus is up. We're taking in videotapes of people that are either legislators that have done the redistricting or a county council person that we can vote on it in Richland, and getting that up there. And so when we get Richland across the line in the next few months, that will be big news, and then we start doing the statewide petition campaign. So that's what I'm projecting for the 2021 activity in that arena, and it's all about democracy. We don't even have to talk about gerrymandering. We talk about how things aren't working, and whatever it is that itches for you, we got a scratch here. We got a solution for it. Questions, observations on that?
Brett, let me ask something. And I heard you say something about doing a questionnaire with elected officials and really kind of asking them if they would support citizen redistricting. I guess my question is, what do we think they're going to say? I mean, citizen redistricting may not be in their best interest. So I'm not sure how, I understand the question, but I'm just not sure how helpful. What are we trying to glean from that?
What we want to do is there's this wonderful term called heighten the contradiction. And there are people that believe in democracy, but the system isn't democratic, and it's designed by the people that benefit from it not being democratic. That's the contradiction. You can't claim that you support democracy and not support democracy. So we have the benefit of having the study we paid for from the university that breaks it down that 63% of the Republicans in the state believe that the legislature should not draw the lines. Everybody, all the people that vote, believe the voters should draw the lines. It's a winning argument. We've got to put that in front of the legislators and let them start excusing why they do that. Why is your legislator saying he gets to pick who votes for him? So we want to heighten that contradiction by putting that out there in the questionnaire. There'll be an explanation of what we're trying to do. We can quote the university study, a very, very, very fine study that was done by a PhD campaign project of the USC Policy and Research Division that says the voters support this. And so explain to me, Mr. Legislator, why you don't want the voters to draw the lines. So I hear what you're saying, Carol, but this isn't like a quiz or a questionnaire that doesn't have a lot of substantive weight to it.
Brett, I also have a question. Are there any success stories outside of the state?
The success story, one of the interesting things is that the only success stories in the United States are in states where the people were allowed to vote on a statewide ballot. Now there's 27 states that cannot do that. We're one of them. The majority of the states can't change the way the redistricting is done. I can't even remember. Kyle, you may remember, but there's like 5 states now, and another state just decided to do it. So the states where the people can't actually pass something, that's why we're having this rather circuitous route of using the county level, statutory county votes in legislative districts to be able to basically force the legislators to recognize they're going to lose their election if they don't do what their own voters are saying they need to do. So yeah, there's plenty of examples, and the greatest one is California in 2010, and it was the same year that Gilda had legislation that we worked with for the new congressional district to not have a second majority black district. All the Democratic ones had 2 majority black districts. The Republican ones had 1, and the ones we supported had no majority black districts, because we believe our analysis is sound, that when you have majority black districts, as they've developed since the 90s, it reduces the effectiveness of black voting strength, because they pack all the blacks into one district, and everybody gets to vote, but you all get to vote for Jim Clyburn. And so the competitive question is what rejuvenates democracy. And that if you do what our plan, it turns out where we have goes from 17 competitive now, meaning within 10%, to 85, which is half the legislature, which would change the whole game. So that's enough polemic. Y'all have heard this before.